Have you ever wanted to record a podcast but didn't know the way? Well, I've got good news. Let me tell you about something. It's called Anchor, and Anchor is the easiest way to record a podcast. Let me explain. It's absolutely free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. And it's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So here's what I need you to do. Please download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. Don't act like you don't know what day it is. Yeah, I know it's Thursday, but it's no regular Thursday. No, it's definitely not a regular Thursday. But it is, in fact, Outwork You Thursdays, right here on the 2-2 podcast. Listen, you know what to do. Get your notebook, get your iPad, get your laptop, bring your friends and your family. We're about to have some fun today. Let's go. We have all felt the pain of being rejected. Push come to shove, we've all been curved before. Whether it's being rejected for a job, position, or by your crush. Definitely, I am one of the main ones that can say that numerous times that I've been rejected by my crush. And I'm telling you what, this goes without saying, but I'm going to say it regardless. Whew. Getting curved is no fun, especially when you're not strong enough to handle being curved. And today we're really going to talk about not just what rejection is, but we're going to talk about how to react to rejection and how you respond to rejection. That's the question we're going to pose for a little while as we continue this series entitled Distracted. I wanted to talk about something entirely different today, but I wanted to talk about rejection because it hasn't really been talked about as much on this show. And even if it has, it's only been talked about briefly. And so today, I want to take a little bit of time to just break this down, talk about what rejection is, the feelings and the different things that rejection brings, and also just the stages of rejection, as well as how to conquer it. So, hey, it's Outwork You Thursday. Usually Outwork You Thursdays are the episodes that are a little more, I'm not going to say structured, but just imagine yourself in more or less a classroom setting. Dry erase board, all of that stuff, tables and whatnot, except it's a little more interactive, it's a little more fun. It's a little more loose than usual. It's not your average classroom breakout session type deal. But Outwork You Thursdays are the episodes that you never want to miss because there's a lot of information that comes around on Outwork You Thursday. So let's get into it. So if you've listened to the show before, you know what's about to happen. If you haven't listened to the show before, I want to let you in on a little bit of a secret. I love definitions. I love them. I love definitions. I love finding the meanings of words and connecting them to what we're talking about each and every week. So you're probably asking, and I know you're not, what is rejection? What is it? The definition, there's two definitions actually for rejection. And the first definition says it's the dismissing or refusal of a proposal or idea. The dismissing or refusal of a proposal or an idea. How many people, as far as that proposal part, have seen people get rejected in public making a proposal? And that can be embarrassing, especially if you don't know the terms of the relationship or where you guys stand as far as the relationship is. Where one person may be ready to be married and the other person doesn't feel like it's time. And so if you're not personally on one accord about where you all stand and it's time to propose, or you're waiting to be proposed to, if one person's not ready and you're not ready, if you're not readily and able, strong enough to handle the rejection, it's going to hurt. It's going to be painful. It's going to be embarrassing. And we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. Not just proposals, but we're not just talking about proposals, but just, not being able to handle rejection. I know I just said that before, but, let's get into it. Let's go even further. So, the second definition is the spurning of a person's affections. The spurning of a person's affections. How many people's affections have been spurned based on rejection? How many people have dealt with your feelings just being stomped on because somebody rejected you? It sucks, man. And some people, and so when you've been rejected, you don't do certain things. You don't take certain steps. You become reluctant to try anything. And that's because you have been rejected in the past and you've been told no in the past, to the point that all hope of making an effort to do something sometimes falls by the wayside because we are scared of being told no. But I have to let you know in just a little bit that the no that we get, the rejections that we get, are not to destroy, but to protect you from something. And we're really going to talk about that in just a little bit. Thank you to everybody who is a new listener to the show. And thank you to Dope Black Pods and Tia Talks. Please follow her on Instagram, and that's at Tia Talks _ That's Tia Talks _ Please give her a follow. And please follow Dope Black Pods and listen to every black podcast on that particular Instagram and on the directory. Please go to dopeblackpods.com and look at the directory and find a podcast that fits your needs, that fits or how you're feeling, or fits something that fits a need in your life that needs to be spoken to. The Tutu podcast has now been added to that directory, and it is on the lifestyle and mental health section of the dopeblackpods.com directory. Okay, so thank you to you all. Thank you to the folks at Dope Black Pods and Tia Talks for this big victory that happened yesterday, ironically. All right, let's get back to where we were. Just a brief little commercial. Okay, so I believe there are 4 things that rejection brings, and these are pretty obvious in some ways. The first thing is that rejection brings pain. Rejection hurts. It goes without saying. Rejection absolutely, grade A, hurts, not just physically, but mentally. Rejection brings a type of pain that it takes a long time to heal from, especially when you are oblivious to where you stand with a person. It hurts. Allow me to be an example of understanding how hurt, how badly, and how painful exactly rejection is when you are naive. And I've dealt with being naive about certain things, or being in a situation where I've moved too fast into something, or and didn't properly build towards something, And I'm thinking, oh, because we're getting close and we're flirting and we're doing certain things, not even doing certain things, but we're flirting and we're getting close and we're talking about relationships and we're talking about doing certain things. And then all of a sudden, when you pop that question, hey, will you be my girlfriend? And they go, no, I just want to be a friend. I'm not ready. And there were so many times in my life where I wasn't able to handle the pain of being rejected. And it was not simply because I did something wrong, but it was because I was too gullible and too naive to ask where we stood. And I was too gullible and too naive to the simple fact that I didn't take the time to build, and we didn't take the proper time to build, and we just moved too fast. Have you ever been in a relationship, or have you ever been in a situation where things move way too fast, and when things fall apart, you have that mental breakdown? I'm one. I know there's so many people that are going to listen to this show and say, yep, that's me as well. But rejection brings pain. But not only does it bring pain, it brings shame. It's shameful. Remember what I just said about those proposals that you'll see? I know there was one, and it wasn't a marriage proposal. It was a prom proposal. And this young man, this was a couple years ago, this high school kid proposed to this girl. He wanted to take her to the prom. And it was cute. It was really nice, and all the people were there and all that stuff. And then people were, all cheering for her. Oh, that's so nice. That, and the third. She looks at the sign, and this is no fault to her because it could be embarrassing. And it must have been embarrassing to try to come up with an answer in front of everybody. But she looks at the sign, shakes her head no, and walks away. That kid was very dejected. He felt shame because he knew. I can only imagine what he felt. I can only imagine what both of them felt in that moment. The feeling of embarrassment because, with a bunch of people around, you're almost forced to make a decision. Because you've got the waiting and watching eyes of people around you. And then him feeling the shame and the pain of being told no in front of his friends when, he was planned out. She's going to say yes. It's going to be an amazing moment. It's going to be a tearjerker. It's going to be a Disney movie moment. It's going to be so amazing to see this. From now on, we're going to tell our kids about this. We're going to tell our grandkids about this. It's going to be the greatest love story of all time that this girl said yes to me for a promposal. But it all came crashing down. You could feel the shame and the pain. You could feel the pain in his heart, and you could see the shame on his face. See, rejection not only breeds shame, but not only breeds pain, but it breeds shame. It breeds shame when we are told no. It also breeds isolation. It brings a period where you want to be left alone because you've been told no, and you have been pained, you've been shamed, and now you don't want to be around anybody because now you're too embarrassed to be around people because you're afraid of being ridiculed. You're afraid of the ridicule. You're afraid of being talked about because you were told no. So it brings a bit of isolation, so you don't want to be bothered with anybody after you've been rejected. I believe it brings isolation, but it also brings trauma. It brings trauma. It brings mental trauma, physical trauma. It brings trauma. And, it's disturbing. It's a deeply distressing, disturbing experience. It's a culture shock. It's an emotional shock. It's a physical shock to the body when you are rejected. It brings some type of trauma. It brings something to you that is tormenting. It's agonizing. It's misery. You feel distressed. You feel defeated when being rejected. It brings trauma that if you do not know how to handle it, it could bring something very adverse to your life. If you don't know how to properly handle the trauma, the pain, the shame of rejection. And sometimes we have to learn how to be isolated to grow and learn from rejection. Not that isolation is a bad thing, because isolation can go two ways. Isolation can be in two ways, where you're isolating to get away from being ridiculed, and you're isolating to be to grow and mature and learn. Because rejection is not only a traumatic experience, but it is also a learning experience, and we have to learn how to learn from our rejections from the past. I hope this is helping somebody today. I really do, because I was telling a friend before I taught this. I was telling a friend last night that, and just before we go any further, I want to talk about another reason why I chose to teach about rejection today. Because I'm a product and a perpetrator, both a product of rejection, but I'm also a perpetrator of not being able to properly handle rejection. And I don't mean that I, did bodily harm to somebody because they told me no. That wasn't the case. But I'm talking about adversely reacting to rejection to the point that I would say something that was close to being that was like pretty much could be damaging to the person for telling me no, or making them feel shamed for telling me no, or I would try to go to great lengths to embarrass them, or go to great lengths, not trying to not anything extreme. Like, you see a lot of stuff now where somebody's told no and they expose, explicit information, explicit pictures, explicit videos. Not that far, but I'm talking about making them feel like a horrible person. And so I told this story one time to a friend of mine about, I was rejected by this woman. Well, it was a girl. It was a girl at the time. It was a young lady at the time. We were kids. And Justin Timberlake had a song called What Goes Around Comes Around. And on Facebook, you could put certain songs on Facebook. And I put this song, What Goes Around Comes Around, on Facebook. In a bit of a woe is me, I can't believe this happened situation, because I couldn't handle being rejected. I couldn't just go, okay, well, she wasn't for me. Just move on and learn. And so that's the the part where I was a perpetrator of adversely reacting to rejection. But here's the part where I was a product of rejection, not having a father in the house. No matter what the story may be, and I've heard so many stories about why he wasn't there. But, push come to shove, he was not there. And so I was a product of the rejection of my father. And so, because of that, I don't blame everything on my father not being there, but I feel like there was a domino effect, because I couldn't properly handle having a father in the house, so I properly could not handle being rejected or being told no. or being it was a situation where I was dealing with abandonment issues. I didn't want to be told no. I didn't want to be left alone. I wanted to be connected to somebody. And so there's a quote, and this may or may not be connected to what I'm saying right now, but I'm going to try my best to connect what I'm talking about being a product of rejection to this quote. And there's a quote that says, if you live for people's acceptance, you will die from their rejection. It will die from their rejection. And because of the rejection and the pain of being abandoned, and when you're dealing with abandonment issues, let me connect these two together. When you get close to somebody, you'll do whatever it takes for them to accept you. And there are some people in your life that will not accept you for who you are, but just for what they do. And when you don't do what they want you to, what you want them to do anymore, they'll reject you. And so we are always living for people's acceptance. We always find ourselves, if we're not strong within ourselves and we don't have strong self-esteem, and we deal with self-esteem issues, we're dealing with our low self-esteem issue. We are living by the fruits of people's vain acceptance. I'll say that again. We live by the fruit of people's vain acceptance. They only accept us for what we can do. Conditional acceptance. Let me give it a better word. Conditional acceptance. And so by condition, if we don't do what they want us to do, and I'm talking about some of those people that want us to do adverse things for us to be in their circle, they will push us away. And because we wanted to be connected so bad, when we get rejected, we push people away. We die by their rejection. So if you live by people's acceptance, you will die from their rejection. So we have to learn to be able to learn again learn and heal from the pain of rejection, and not be willing to try to be fed by people's vain and conditional acceptance. All right, let me move on. Because I like tangents. And also all my new listeners, I like tangents. Here's a couple key points. We live in a world where we can't take no for an answer, nor can we properly channel the anger or sadness we feel. And because of that, we act and react in adverse ways, acts of revenge in response to rejection. So there was a video that came out a couple weeks ago. A lot of y'all remember this. It was on Twitter. It was on Instagram. It was everywhere. There was a young lady out one night, and was approached by this man on a skateboard. Y'all might have seen this video. If you have, it triggered me. It really triggered me in a great way. He tried to get her number. He talking to her, try to get her number. She wasn't interested. And so instead of moving on, instead of going, okay, we'll have a nice night, Instead of saying, you know what, I tried, maybe that wasn't the one, maybe God was protecting me from something. Not to say that she was a bad person or she had issues or anything like that. And I believe that maybe she was being, and I totally believe that, in a way, no, you know what, let me not say that. Let me not say what I was going to say, because it's going to sound weird. But let me say this. But instead of him reacting and going, it is, okay, no problem, thanks anyway, he hit her with the skateboard, knocked her out. And I'm talking about hit her with the skateboard, truck side up, knocked her cold out. Because he couldn't handle being told no. He couldn't handle being rejected by somebody. And so we live in a culture where we do not properly know how to handle being rejected, and because of that, we act and react in ways, we act and react to seek revenge. We act and react in adverse ways and seek in response to being rejected. That's just one example. There's been so many other ones where a girl is told somebody no, or somebody is told somebody no, and it's gone as far as somebody dying. Somebody dying. Because we live in a culture where we do not know how to be told. We do not know how to handle being told no. We have to learn how to properly learn from our rejections and learn how to not only say no, but to handle a no. Because those no's, the no's that we get are not the end all be all. But sometimes they are for protection and for growth, because the protection, growth, and the setup for a yes. Sometimes we are told no because we're not mentally ready, and we're not spiritually mature to handle the yes. And so, because of that, there is a process. There is a time where we must be willing to go, I'm going to allow God to use this as a period to grow me and mature me in this time. Yeah, it hurts, it sucks, but I have to allow God to use me and God to use this moment and use this time. So it's not the end all be all, folks. All right, moving on. We're hitting the home stretch, y'all. Hope you're still with me. I hope you're still listening. I hope you're still locked in and taking notes. I hope you're taking notes with these, because I hope that at some point that you go back into this and this helps you in some way, shape, or form. If you're dealing with the pain of rejection and dealing with and battling and defeating, not being able to properly handle rejection. So there are the 5 stages of rejection. The 5 stages of rejection are something that I've dealt with in so many ways. And we're going to break each one of them down one by one. And we're going to give examples of it. I'm going to use myself as an example. I like using myself in these situations. I like using myself as a guinea pig. I'm not going to even say a guinea pig. I'm going to just say I like using myself as as an example. Let's do that. Not a guinea pig, because they test stuff on guinea pigs and different things. Okay. So the 5 stages of rejection are denial, aka also denial or shock. So when you're rejected, there's that denial. I can't believe they did that to me. I can't believe this is happening. This didn't happen, did it? No, not me. Oh no, they didn't tell me no. No, they didn't tell me no. No, not at all. What did I'm a good person. Me? No, they told somebody else no. The second thing is anger. Oh my gosh, this is the part right here that gets a lot of people, because the way we react in anger, and there's a verse that I always like to quote. Let me get it for you. Let me get it for you. Let me get it for you. And it talks about, and I know I just got quiet just for a second. I'm trying to find this verse. It is Ephesians 4:26. It's one of my favorite verses. It reminds me every day about how to properly be angry and not react. Be angry, and I mean, not that I say not react, and not to react in an adverse way. Oh my goodness, this is one of my favorite verses. And this is where we get stuck when it comes to rejection. Ephesians 4:26 says, in your anger, do not sin, and don't let the sun go down while you're still angry. When we are told no, there is a level of anger that, oh my goodness, you want to hurt somebody, you want to punch somebody in the face, you want to cuss them out, you want to scream, you want to holler, you want to bust the windows out, you want to do certain things, but you have to learn how to not let your anger let your anger trip you up in the realm of being rejected. You have to learn how to go, you know what, I'm pissed off. Yeah, I said I don't know there's going to be some church folk, some of my church family that's going to listen to this show and go, he said pissed off. Well, guess what? We're just going to say it. We're just going to keep it real because, yeah, it's one thing to be ticked off. But when you are like pissed about something, especially when it comes to rejection, there are some feelings that you feel and there's some thoughts that you have that are just really crazy. And so with that, there's an anger. We get tripped up right here where we're just fuming. We're burning with anger. It's just, they can't do that to me. They're, they don't know what they missing. That feeling. They don't know what they missing. Whatever. So guess what? That's when it leads into bargaining. So guess what? I'm going to show them what they're missing. Maybe if I do this, they'll understand what they're missing. They're going to understand. Yeah. They're going to understand what they're missing. They're going to change their mind based on that. Yeah, I'm going to do what I have to do to make sure they don't say no to me the second time or the third time or the fourth time. I'm going to do what it takes. Bargaining. What if I do this? So if I do this, maybe they won't. The next one is depression. I can't believe that they hate me. This is the part right here that I've dealt with, where I've been told no, or I've been broken up with, and things fall apart, and I go into a deep depression. There are so many people that, because they've been rejected, they've been told no, they're dealing with abandonment issues. They do self-harm. They harm themselves. They find a way to hurt themselves and hurt others when they've been told no. Rejection brings depression in so many cases. Self-reflection. Maybe it is my fault. Maybe I am stupid. Maybe I am, too much. Maybe I'm not enough. Maybe my hair, maybe they didn't like my hair. Maybe I'm overweight. Maybe I'm too skinny. Maybe I'm too this, or maybe I'm too that. And so we go into self-reflection. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's not them. See, we went from anger. Yeah, it's them. Yeah, it's such, so and so. All this other, it's them. Now we've gone from there to now, maybe it's not them. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's my fault. And it's all, and we do that when it's, in a lot of cases, the other person's fault. Maybe it's them, and maybe we do. And a lot of times when we self-reflect, we don't understand that we are being protected. The no was a protection from something that we didn't need to be connected to. But we don't understand that because the loud voice of rejection, the voice of rejection is so loud that it muffles out the fact that we're being protected from something that we didn't know we needed protection from. And the fifth level, the fifth stage of rejection is acceptance. This is the it is what it is stage. I'm going to grow from this. You know what? I got rejected. It sucks. I had to deal with the denial, to deal with the shock. I had to deal with being angry about it. I bargained with myself. I had meetings with myself saying like, oh, if I do this, maybe this will happen. If I do this, maybe this will happen. If I say this, maybe this will happen. I dealt with the bargaining, and then I dug deep, and I had to deal with the pain of depression and had to self-reflect. But now I'm at the point in my life where from stage one going from stage one dealing with denial and shock to now, I'm accepting it. It is what it is. I'm going to grow from this. I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to fight on. I'm going to move on. I'm going to keep working. I'm going to keep challenging myself. I'm going to keep becoming a better person. And whether they tell me yes later on or not, if they come back or not, if they come to their senses or not, if they get the revelation that you were not a bad person after all or not, I'm still going to grow and become a better person because of this rejection. I'm not gonna jump out there and try to seek revenge or try to make them jealous or envious or make them change their mind. That's not my job. My job is to grow and to become a better person in the midst of rejection. So that when anger comes again, I don't act in an adverse way. I go, okay, I'm angry, it sucks, but I'm going to grow from this. That when depression decides it wants to slip in, that even in the midst of it, I'm going to grow and become better. We have to understand the stages of rejection. Each and every time it happens, we have to understand the stages and the points in our lives and where we are mentally when it comes to handling and dealing with rejection. So you probably ask, how do I conquer this? How do I conquer this? How do I conquer rejection? How do I conquer the pain of rejection? Understand, number one, and write these down, there's 4 of them. Understand that is not the end of the world. Just because he or she said no does not mean it's the end of the world. It's not the end of the world as we know it. It's not. It's not the end all be all. The second thing is, and how to conquer. Second way that I feel that you can conquer rejection is to use it as fuel to grow, and not seek revenge. Use it as fuel to grow, and not avenge yourself. Not to seek revenge. The third thing I believe is to learn from it. I said that just a few minutes ago. Well, just a little bit ago. To learn from your rejection. Learn from it. And the fourth one, that's going to hit somebody. That's going to hit you where you live. Realize that your value is not tied to others' inability to see your worth. Just because they said no, that doesn't mean that it's tied. Their rejection is not tied to your value or their inability to see your worth. There are some people that will reject you because they do not see your worth. Not that you've done something wrong to them, because not all rejection is because you did something wrong. It's because there are some people that can't afford you, so they reject you because they reject what they can't afford. Oh, man, listen, they reject what they can't afford. And I'm not talking about not talking about from a financial standpoint, but I'm trying to tell you mentally, spiritually, they cannot afford you. So they reject you because they can't handle your price. They can't handle your value. And you have to realize that your value is not tied into their rejection or their inability to see your worth. Please understand that today. And please really dig deep within yourself and really understand that understand your worth and understand that rejection is not the end all be all. And please understand the stages of rejection and how to handle being rejected, the pain of being rejected each and every day. Listen, y'all, I hope you enjoyed today. Oh my goodness, I had fun with this. I believe me. I love teaching about things like this, especially when it is a piece of my testimony, a piece of what I've gone through and how I've taken pain and turned it into purpose, and taken something and turned it into in some cases victimization and turned it into victory. I love talking about this and understanding and helping people understand and helping people heal from certain things within their lives. And so I encourage you today to please send this to a friend. Please listen to this frequently. Listen to this as often as you can, because we all need to learn how to handle rejection. We need to learn how to not seek revenge from people who reject us. People are going to reject us. And allow me to add something else to this that might connect with this. And that might help you deal with rejection even better. I'm going to close out with this and we're going to get up out of here. There's another verse in the Bible that says they went out from us, but they did not really belong to us. For if they belonged to us, they would have stuck with us. But their going showed that they didn't belong to us. The rejection can also show, let me add this, that rejection can also signify that they weren't really for us. They were only for what we wanted, for what they wanted. They only for what we could give them. That's the connection. That's that connection I should have added a little bit earlier when I was talking about that they went away from us. They rejected us. They turned away from us. They abandoned us. But here's the deal, that every person that rejects us is not for us. Not because of something that you did wrong to them. They just were never for us in the first place. Because if they really were for us, they would not have left. They would not have told us no. They would not have abandoned us. And we need to learn how to handle that properly. So with that being said, listen, I'm telling you, continue to listen to this show. Continue to let people know about the 22 podcast. Continue to shout it out and listen weekly and send suggestions and send ideas and send your testimonies and send how you are dealing with certain things in your life, and when it comes to rejection and certain and how to get away from, how to heal from it. Send me those testimonies and send me what you're doing, what necessary steps that you're taking. And so, to do that, I want you to please follow my personal page at AlexJ_live. That is AlexJ_live. And also, please follow the show page at 22_podcast. That's 22_podcast. And just send your suggestions, send your praise, send your constructive criticism. Tell me what I can do better. Tell me that I'm doing a great job with this show. I really need it each and every day as I do this show. And it is with your support and your prayers and your love that this show keeps going on. And this show will continue. And we're going to do what we have to do to make this show. I will do what I have to do to make this show better. So with that being said, thank you for joining me for this Outwork You Thursday edition of the 2-2 podcast. We'll see you next Tuesday at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. 1 p.m. right here on Anchor, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And also join me 7 p.m. on IG Live on the AlexJ_Live Instagram page for Tuesday Night Live right here on the 2-2 podcast. And join me Thursday, 1 p.m. right here, same place, Anchor, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Be blessed, y'all. Have an amazing, amazing weekend. Stay safe. Stay safe. Stay safe. We'll see you next Tuesday. Be blessed, y'all.